In this video, we're going to talk about the activity series of metals. So I have it listed on the screen. Now granted, hydrogen is not really a metal, but nevertheless, it has a role here. Now what you need to know is that on the left side, those metals are strong reducing agents, which means that they have a strong ability to give away their electrons. Aluminum has a stronger ability to give away its electrons than iron metal. So aluminum can displace iron metal in a solution. Now the purpose of knowing the activity series is to determine if a single replacement reaction, if it will proceed, or if there will be no reaction. So that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to talk about how to determine if a reaction will proceed as written, or if it's not going to happen. In addition to that, we're going to talk about how to predict the products of a single replacement reaction, how to balance the equation, and also how to write the net ionic equation. So let's begin. Let's start with iron metal reacting with hydrochloric acid. So here's the question for you. Is iron metal strong enough to displace hydrogen out of the solution? Notice that iron is to the right of hydrogen. So the answer is yes. It can displace hydrogen out of the solution. So this means that the reaction will proceed as written. So now let's predict the products of this reaction. Iron metal will become the Fe2 plus ion when it gives away its electrons. And it's going to pair up with the chloride ion since it has a negative charge. When these two get together, they're going to form FeCl2. So that's going to be one of the products of this reaction. Now, FeCl2 is soluble. It dissolves in water, which means it's going to be in an aqueous phase. And as iron metal displaces hydrogen out of the solution, hydrogen will evolve as H2 gas. And so those are the products of this reaction. Now what we need to do is we need to balance the equation. We could put a 2 in front of HCl so that we have 2 hydrogen atoms on both sides of the equation. If we do that, everything is balanced. Notice that we have 2 chlorine atoms on both sides as well. So now let's write the total ionic equation. To do that, everything in the aqueous phase, we're going to break it up into ions. Everything else, we're just going to leave it the way it is. So HCl is in the aqueous phase. We can break it up into 2 hydrogen ions and 2 chloride ions. Now we could do the same thing with FeCl2. We can break it up into the Fe2 plus ion and 2 chloride ions. Now for hydrogen gas, we're not going to change it. It's not dissolved in water. So that is the total ionic equation. In order to get the net ionic equation, we need to eliminate the specks of the ions. These are ions that appear exactly the same on both sides of the equation. So the only ions that appear exactly the same are the chloride ions. Now our next step is to write down what's left over. This is going to be the net ionic equation. So we have iron metal reacting with 2 hydrogen ions to produce the Fe2 plus ion and hydrogen gas. So this is the net ionic equation of the single replacement reaction. The net result is that iron metal gave away 2 electrons. The 2 hydrogen ions pick up those 2 electrons and they turn into hydrogen gas. So that's really what's happening here in this particular reaction. Iron metal is oxidized. The hydrogen ions are reduced. Oxidation involves a loss of electrons. Reduction involves a gain of electrons. Now let's move on to our next example. So let's say we have nickel metal and it's reacting with zinc sulfate. What's going to happen in this reaction? And will this reaction even proceed? So feel free to use the activity series to determine if this reaction will work or not. So the question that we need to ask ourselves is nickel strong enough to displace zinc out of the solution. Now granted, I don't have all the elements here for the activity series, but what you could do is you can go to Google Images, type in activity series, and then you can get a list of the elements. The elements on top are strong reducing agents, the one on the bottom are weak reducing agents. But nickel is somewhere between iron metal and hydrogen. That's where it should be. So now that you know where nickel should be, is it strong enough to reduce, or is it strong enough to kick zinc out of the solution? Can it reduce the zinc 2 plus ion into zinc metal? The answer is no. Because nickel is to the right of zinc, it's a weaker reducing agent. Zinc is stronger because it's on the left side. Zinc can displace nickel out of the solution, but nickel cannot displace zinc out of the solution. So for this one, this is not going to work. In order for the reaction to work, the metal has to be on the left side of the activity series. So for instance, if I were to use magnesium, and if I were to react it with zinc sulfate, this reaction will work because magnesium is more active than zinc. It's a stronger reducing agent. So magnesium can displace zinc out of the solution. Now let's consider this example. Aluminum metal reacts with, let's use copper sulfate. What's going to be the products of this reaction? And will this reaction proceed? Well, looking at the activity series, we can see that aluminum is much stronger than copper in terms of reducing ability. Aluminum is a stronger reducing agent than copper. So it can certainly displace copper out of the solution. It can reduce the copper 2 plus ion into copper metal. So now let's predict the products. Aluminum is going to pair up with sulfate. As an ion, aluminum usually forms a 3 plus charge, and sulfate is a polyatomic ion with a 2 minus charge. So when pairing these together, the chemical formula is going to be Al2SO43. In order for the charges to be the same, we need 2 aluminum ions, which will give us a total charge of +6 or 6 plus, and we need 3 sulfate ions to get a total charge of 6 minus. So the charges they need to be equal but opposite in magnitude. That's why we need 2 aluminum ions and 3 sulfate ions, so that we can have a total charge of 6 plus and 6 minus, such that they will cancel each other out. So that's going to be the chemical formula of aluminum sulfate. And then copper will be displaced out of the solution, turning into copper metal. Now let's go ahead and balance the equation. So we have 2 aluminum ions on the right side. We need to put a 2 in front of Al. We have 3 sulfate ions on the right, thus we need to put a 3 in front of copper sulfate. And now that we have 3 copper ions on the left, we need a 3 in front of Cu on the right. So now the reaction is balanced, we can move on to writing the total ionic equation. So to do this, remember, everything in the aqueous phase we're going to break up into ions. So we're going to get 3 copper 2 plus ions and 3 sulfate ions on the left side. By the way, all of the ions are in the aqueous phase, but I'm going to run out of space if I write aqueous multiple times. But on the test, you should definitely write aqueous for these ions. And for copper metal, we're just going to rewrite it the way it is. So now, which ion is the spec to the ion? Is it copper 2 plus, is it Al3 plus, or is it sulfate? Remember, the spec to the ion is the ion that doesn't participate in the reaction. It simply spectates or watches the reaction. It's the ion that appears exactly the same on both sides of the chemical equation. And this is going to be the sulfate ion because we can cancel it in this equation. So what remains is going to be the net ionic equation. So we have 2 aluminum atoms, 3 copper 2 plus ions, And let's write the phase of that. That's going to be an aqueous phase, and that's going to turn into 2Al3 plus, which is also an aqueous phase. And we're going to get 3 copper atoms. So that's how you can write the net ionic equation of a single replacement reaction using the activity series of metals.